Welcome back on Sportsline. We're joined with NFL and CBS analyst Charles Davis to talk Sunday's divisional matchups, starting with the Bengals at Bills. Charles, both of these teams enter this matchup on a win streak of 8+ games. Cincy's injury report is a bit more concerning. However, with 2 offensive linemen held out of practice today, how can Cincy overcome their O-line issues and secure a win?
Yeah, and you're right about that, Katie. It could end up being 3 different starters than you would expect in the offensive line, because we got to see if Jonah Williams can come back. Remember, earlier this year, he dislocated a knee and didn't miss any games. He missed 6 snaps all year long. This one's a little more serious, even though it's the other knee that's dislocated. We'll see if he can play at left tackle. We already know that right now it looks like Max Sharping will go for Alex Kappa. They're still hoping he can make it back, but he'll go at right guard more than likely. And at right tackle, Hakeem Adeniji has already been in for La'el Collins. So 3 different guys. So the way I look at it with them, they've got to be like boxers and throw different angles at the pass rush of Buffalo. Sometimes you retreat into the pocket and catch them that way. Sometimes you short set and catch them on the line of scrimmage. And the added element is Buffalo doesn't blitz very often, Katie. But for this ball game, Leslie Frazier, their defense coordinator, he may change things up and bring additional pressure to try and take advantage of a makeshift offensive line. Let's see how Cincinnati handles that.
Ugh, poor Joe Burrow for this matchup. Now for the Bills, Buffalo is 13-1 in home playoff games since the merger. Josh Allen also perfect 4-0 in career playoff games. However, he is turning the ball over at an alarming rate. He had 3 turnovers just last week versus Miami. Is Allen throwing a clean game really the key for Buffalo punching their ticket to championship weekend?
It certainly is. I think you nailed it right there, Katie. We need Josh Allen. If you're the Buffalo Bills fans, if you're the Bills Mafia, just be Josh Allen, but you use the proper word, clean. Get into the red zone, cash in on every opportunity. He's turned it over in the red zone way more than you would ever expect a Josh Allen to do. And that's what we've seen throughout this season. We saw it against Miami again. If he takes care of the football, doesn't turn it over deep in territory, Buffalo should be in pretty good shape. And he understands that. He knows what it's like here at playoff time. If he takes care of it and is the Josh Allen that we're used to seeing, I think Buffalo feel pretty good about what they've got going on.
You know, Charles, of all the games that we've discussed so far, this one might be the closest matchup in my opinion. Who are you picking? Are you going to go Cincy or are you going to go Buffalo?
I'm telling you, Katie, I think you're right about that. And look, Cincinnati, they don't feel like they're the underdogs to anyone. And if they had an intact offensive line, this would be very tempting to pick the Cincinnati Bengals in this game because they're used to going on the road. They're used to dealing with adversity. They pounded their way to a Super Bowl appearance last year when people didn't expect them to get there, including that big comeback at Kansas City. But I think Buffalo at home, Josh Allen plays a clean game. That Buffalo defense, which has been top 5 for the last 3 years and really doesn't get the credit for it deserves, I think they find a way to outlast Cincinnati in a really close ball game.
I hope so, because I've got a futures ticket on it. All right, let's gamble on it, guys. We're back with Sportsline analysts Larry Hartstein and Emory Hunt. Bills laying 5.5 at home, total 48. The over is getting the most love from the public so far, 99% of handle. That's just crazy, almost 100%. Are you betting on a shootout in this one, Emory?
Yeah, I guess that 99% was just waiting on me. Yes, take the over. This will be a lot of points scored. But here's the thing. Watching the AFC North, I've already said this is like the NFL's public school league. And so watching that game last week was like watching Wildcats, you know, with Goldie Hawn and what they were able to do, turn that program around. What I'm saying is the Bengals are not afraid to go anywhere and fight someone. This will be a fight for this game. This is a game that I think they had circled on the calendar. This is a team in Buffalo that looks like is getting a lot more love than the Bengals are, who were in the Super Bowl last year. So I'm taking the Bengals in the points. I'm taking the over. I think the Bengals also win this ball game. I like the matchup on the corners in terms of their receivers versus Buffalo's secondary, although I did like to see Kaiir Elam start to get more playing time, the first round pick out of Florida. Excellent corner. Let's hope he carries that over into this ball game. But for this betting purpose, I do think the Bengals will attack these guys vertically, work touchdown to check down, win the game, but I also like the over.
You know, Charles Davis said if Josh Allen has a clean game, and that is by far not a certainty, given he's had 7 turnovers in the last couple of games against the Dolphins and the Patriots. And I just think when you look at the Bengals, the last 2 years, 39 games, including the playoffs, they've lost 3 times by more than a field goal. 2 of those were to the Browns. Take it a step further. The last 21 times Jamar Chase has been on the field, the Bengals have not lost by more than a field goal, and Jamar Chase will be out there. And I know there's a lot of questions about the offensive line and Jackson Carman stepping in for Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams gave up 12 sacks this season. He hasn't been that great. Jackson Carman at left tackle, he's a second-round pick out of Clemson. He did okay against the Ravens. I think the Bills win it, but I think it's close, and I'll take the points.
All right, some differing opinions there. Let's go ahead and recap those. Emory says that the Bengals are going to win outright and cover the spread, but he's really taking this over 48 as his best bet. Larry on the opposite side there. Oh, same side actually. Bengals plus the 5.5. All right, Charles, it's my favorite subject. Cowboys at 49ers, both teams rank top 5 all-time in playoff wins, conference title games, and, of course, Super Bowl titles. It's always a fun one for the fans. How do the Cowboys build off of their win over the Bucs last week and apply the pressure to my 49ers?
Oh, okay. I thought you liked it because Dallas was playing. That's right, Katie. I keep forgetting you're a San Francisco fan. How dare I forget that? And by the way, before I even get started, I love being on with Emory and Larry because they bring me stuff and things to think about. Wildcats. I haven't thought about that movie in so long. So Joe Burrow playing the part of Bird in this ball game for Cincinnati. We'll get back to that later. Look, for Dallas, it's what we saw with Dak Prescott on Monday night. Locked in, sharp, confident, efficient. Everything was locked in and working well. As poorly as he played against Washington the week before in the final game of the regular season, that's how good he was on Monday night. And remember, a lot of people had doubts about Dak Prescott going into that game. A lot of those Kirk Cousins comparisons where the big game, will Dak play up to that level? He shattered that. But they're going to need exactly that again against San Francisco, because if he's that locked in, that allows all of his weapons to come to the front. The CeeDee Lambs, the Dalton Schultzes, right? The Michael Gallups, being able to run Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard in the backfield. They need that Dak Prescott one more time going to San Francisco.
Yeah, Dak Prescott also needs to throw a clean game if they want to win this one. Now for SF, they've won 5 straight games in the divisional round. How do they make it 6?
Well, to me, it's the San Francisco defense, which, continues to be so good. And I heard the term choke someone out. They choke people out, especially in the second half of games. But they need a fast start. They were like a python against Seattle. As the second half got going, they took the ball away. They squeezed the life out of them. But you can't let Dallas get going early in this ball game. I don't think this one comes down to late, spike the ball. Did the official touch it? Did he not? The game ends that way. I do think this is one that San Francisco has to impose their will early in this ball game on defense and not let Dak Prescott and the Dallas offense get going.
All right, Charles, moment of truth. Talk nice to me. Who you got, the Cowboys or the Niners?
Well, I think there's a collision course for the NFC Championship game. The top 2 ranked teams have been on for a while. I don't see this being any different, but I have to admit, Katie, this makes me feel good as a 58-year-old watching San Francisco and Dallas in the playoffs. I mean, this feels like my youth, like my formative years, growing up watching these games. Somewhere, Pat Summerall and John Madden are saying, shouldn't we be doing this game? Because that's the game we did for all those years. I do like San Francisco to advance and head to the link to take on Philadelphia.
I absolutely love to hear that, Charles Davis. Thank you so much for picking the Niners and for all of your picks and keys to the game. We'll go ahead and bring back Larry and Emory for some gambling perspective on this game. The Niners are laying 4. The spread has been a bit up and down since opening. Public suffering from recency bias, as far as I'm concerned, betting the Cowboys to cover 58% of the handle. Larry, how do you see it?
Well, a couple of interesting trends in this one. When you look at the Cowboys as a divisional road team that's won 11 or more games, those teams are 23-11 against the spread. But on the other side, Kyle Shanahan has covered every single playoff game when he's been a head coach, except for the Super Bowl when he had a big lead. Sorry to bring that up, Katie. But he is 6-1 against the number. And there is a coaching edge here for Kyle Shanahan over Mike McCarthy. The Cowboys did take advantage of a terrible Bucs team that couldn't run the ball at all. And now they're going to face a 49ers team that is elite in terms of running the ball. And that's how you have to attack the Cowboys. They're middle of the pack against the run. It's going to set up well for Brock Purdy. I just think it's going to be a totally different game script. Dak Prescott was so comfortable with that big lead, picking apart wide open throwing lanes. If he's behind and the 49ers can stuff the running game, I like the 49ers to cover.
Well, let me bring some truth in here and some cold hard facts. Here are the facts. San Francisco's secondary is the liability of that unit. I'm not saying that they're bad or terrible, but they are the liability of what is a very good defensive unit. So what I expect to happen in this ball game is for Dallas to come out, go up tempo, spread the field, expand that pressure, therefore you can identify where it's coming from and take your poison, take your shots deep down the field against the secondary. That's where Seattle had some success early in the game. I don't know why they went away from it. You just completed a 50-yard bomb and then you don't throw the football again deep down the field. I think Dallas will air out this secondary, and on defense will play the run on the way to the quarterback. They know if this game has to come down between Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott, that's a game they want to play. I expect them to load up, sell out versus the run, and force Brock Purdy to beat them throwing the football. But I do like the over, and I also like the Cowboys plus the points, and I will sprinkle some on the money line. So I know Katie's probably going off the set storming mad, but Cowboys go ball game.
Emory, we're going to have a discussion about this one. And yes, Brock Purdy can beat Dak Prescott. And if you want Brock Purdy to air it out, then go ahead, because he's already had at least 2 passing touchdowns in every game since he started. But I digress. That's our Larry Hartstein and Emory Hunt. Guys, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next time. Recapping those picks, Larry is a smart man, and he's taking the 49ers minus the 4. Emory is taking the over, and unfortunately, he's also taking Dallas spread and money line. You hate to see him lose money, but can't win them all.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.